Well, hello, good morning, and welcome to BBRC Britain and English. Well, thank you very much for joining me this morning on this slightly overcast morning, slightly cloudy. We're only on 16 degrees Celsius, that's around about 60 degrees Fahrenheit today. In stark contrast to last week, I think it was last week and the week before, it was well over 70. Well, today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the city of Chester. You may have a list of places you'd like to visit when you come to England. Well, I will definitely endeavour to tell you a little bit about more places as we go along. But certainly there are a few principal places you may like to consider. And I've taken out a few exclusive places which I think you may like to visit. But of course, there may be places like Wolverhampton you might ask me about, Peterborough, or if you're in a particular area like Nottingham, you might think, oh, I could go to Derby for the day. And of course, Nottingham as well is got some interesting sites. Now, just a few tips and points which I thought might be helpful to you. And certainly when you're traveling around and staying at places, I hope this cultural information helps you out. If you are traveling to different places, do always check the times. If you're going for a day trip, do check the times of the buses, especially weekends, because they do vary. They're not all like London and the big cities where they normally run night buses and various services after hours and weekends as well, and bank holidays. So do check what the buses are like, for example, in rural areas, villages, so you don't get stranded. For example, some buses may stop at sort of 5 o'clock. And Sunday buses may be slightly more sporadic if they're running at all. So do check that so you don't get stranded anywhere late at night. And also try to understand and work out what you want to do. For example, if you want shopping, it's just shopping. Most cities have similar shops. So you're going to probably find that you haven't got to travel too far out of a city to find the shops. For example, if you think, well, I like to go shopping in Birmingham. Well, Birmingham shops are very much like London, although they have lost the John Lewis more recently. Check the weather forecast as well. As I say, the weather does change. We've had it lovely and warm now. We've got this peak summer. We've got well, you could say it's overcast, cloudy. It's actually quite dark here even, and we've had the longest day in the last week. So longest day of the year here. So sadly, can be depressing for some people. Nights will be drawing in, so basically getting darker earlier. So check the buses, trains, and public transport. Also, if you go into a particular place, especially a village or a small town, you might want to look online to see what's actually on. For example, is there a folk festival on? Is there a garden fete? Is there a charity village big day or something? Because it'll usually be on the online somewhere, and you can find out more and perhaps partake. It's usually for charity and local cultural event, which you might enjoy and see more about local culture. And it's definitely well worth it. Might be a bit of street dancing, charity stalls, etc. So you might well enjoy that. Well, moving on, as promised, today we will talk about the city of Chester in Cheshire. Well, it's a very interesting old Roman city. It's well worth a visit. There we are. And I've looked at a few old Roman cities with a few old Roman remains. And some has survived the Second World War bombing, etc. Some hasn't. There's a mix of architecture in most cities. Some haven't got any traditional architecture at all. I can name two. One is Coventry, one is Orgon, but I do know one that definitely hasn't got anything at all left, and it's all modern 1960s. It's Plymouth. They were the worst bomb city in the country, down in the southwest, the far southwest. And a lot of locals will tell you it's not got through the war, very deprived, and they're trying to rely on an old naval base, the dockyard down there, which I don't know if it's still going or not, but sadly, these things have always have further ramifications in other areas where there isn't the industry and more out of the way places, and shall we say out of the big cities, and so probably need our trade, shall we say, especially with the pandemic. Well, the bewitching beauty of Chester make it very desirable for a weekend break. So if you want to go, probably like I said before, make sure you've got enough time, go for a weekend break. There we are. And the old Roman city is where Roman people met up, and there was all sorts of, well, rancor and, shall we say, battles over the centuries. The legionnaire marched to war, Viking raiders wreaked havoc, and Norman invaders conquered Anglos and Anglo-Saxons also in the city, but also an influence of Danes and Scots. So it's very, very, very multicultural. Of course, most of the people came from Europe, and of course, you know, Scots is Scotland. It's up the far north of England and further on, if you want to go up there. And there's history from all these invasions over the centuries, and I'm sure you can find out more about that if you go to the city and look in the local museum. Well, there are old city walls, and some of the best preserved in the country. Most of these would have been demolished over the years. I think Newcastle in the northeast, a lot of them are gone. I think they used to go out quite a long way, but most of them are gone now. There's a few remains. I think there's a place even up there called Wall's End. There's also an old racecourse in Chester going back to 1539. And there's an old Roman amphitheatre which is around about 1,000 years old, I believe, and the old cathedral. And there's also galleries for shopping. They're called the Rose as well, and interesting shops there. You might find a few different shops, not always the big chains and others. And of course, the diminishing department stores, there should be a few up there, but well worth a visit if you want to see a British department store before they close down, because we've lost Debenhams this year, sadly. Also, half timber buildings. Well, you might be interested in that. You might think it looks sort of mock Tudor, but it's actually probably original, because some of them would have been preserved. Some may have been refurbished over the years to keep in with the local architecture where they could do, but they kind of kept it all. And there was a lot of modernisation after the war, and what wasn't bombed sometimes was taken down. For they used to call it modernisation, making the city more for the future. But of course, a lot of those buildings that they did build didn't really last too long because of the poverty after the war, not having enough money. A lot of it was built cheaply. So 10 years later, normally it was ready for demolition. But there we are. That's life and progress in some ways, people might say. Now, other places you might like to visit in Chester and around Chester. Chester Zoo, home to 35,000 animals and about between 400 and 500 species, 125 acres and a glorious garden. And there's an open-top bus tour. There we are. And if you want to do walking outside the city, you might want the Griston Trail or the Sandstone Trail or the Wirral Way. Well, and the Edge, that's Alderley Edge. The good views there over the Cheshire Plains. So well worth it. You've got the and so you have to catch a bus out, but I would say go around Chester first and then have a look around and then see where you want to go. But there are various places. You've got various restaurants, cafes and bars, and also you've got the you've got the peaks there, the Cheshire Peaks, there we are. And there's also National Trust. If you want National Trust, do check the times they're open, or if they're open. Bosley Cloud, there near Congleton. That's views over the Cheshire Plain. Do have a good look. And they will charge to go into many National Trust places. You can buy a membership if you're going to be in the country a long time, or if you're going to go to quite a few places. You'll save, you probably save a good £5 or £6 depending on the price. There's usually a restaurant or a cafe there. You can certainly buy yourself ice creams as well, and definitely some of the National Trust grounds are free, but the houses usually they charge, and also you've got certain areas they will charge because they need to make money fundraising for the upkeep. And you know the last year has been very tough for charity. Well, looking on to other areas of interest, I've got a few other places which I will recommend here, which is in and around Chester. And I'll just go through some of these and do go through some of them on Google if you want to have a look, or on one of your search engines. The city has been a conservation area for over 50 years. There we are, and retains many many well-preserved and numerous half-timbered houses, as well as the roads. There was its magnificent two-tier medieval arcades. There was attractive bridges, parks, riverside walks, as well as many musical festivals within the city, shopping, and the top zoo there. Well, worth a visit, especially if you're interested in animals. So I've mentioned some of these before, but I'll just go through these. So Chester City walls, there we are. Red sandstone. Chester City walls follow the even older Roman walls, except where they extend to the river to include Chester Castle. Well worth a walk there. And do look at this up, and you can find more about it if you're interested, that is. Chester Roads, there we are. I've alluded to that. There are distinctive features, and it's galleried walkways with the many shops running the length of the old stone and half-timber buildings. There we are. Dating from the 14th century. There we are. Certainly old there. Right, there we are. Roads evolved from houses and shops built partly in front of and partly on top of piles of rubble left from the Roman ruins. There we are. Watergate and Lower Bridge Streets. Watergate Street has several exceptional half-timbered houses, including God's Providence House, built in 1652, and so named as its inhabitants were spared the plague. You may remember, I mentioned this, the plague came from London and went up north. I think it went to Derbyshire. And that was, what, 1665, 66, I believe. Ledge House, 1579. And Stanley Palace, 1591. Have a look at those when you're in the area. Chester Cathedral, there we are. I mentioned the imposing Chester Cathedral. Well worth a visit there. There we are. Built on the site of a much older church dating from AD 958. And a later Benedictine abbey. There we are. Part of the old Norman church survives in the north transept. Have a look there. And there we are. And the abbey in turn became a cathedral when, following the dissolution of a new diocese, dissolution of the monasteries, that is, a new diocese was created by Henry VIII in 1541. So there's history there. Chester Cathedral Choir there, the home, obviously, their homes in the cathedral there, where they frequent. Obviously not singing at the moment. There we are, the early decorated choir. There we are. And we have 14th century stalls there. Handel's Messiah was first rehearsed in the cathedral. Another place, Chester Roman Amphitheatre. There we are, largest such attraction in Britain and one of the top free things to do in the city, so it's free there. Chester Roman Amphitheatre remains the subject of continual excavation and discovery. There we are, as recently as 2005. Excavation revealed two successful stone-built amphitheatres with wooden seating, one of them similar to that found in Pompeii. Right, there we are. Chester Zoo and the Blue Planet Aquarium. There we are, I've mentioned that. Well worth visiting. There we are in Upton, just over a mile north of Chester city centre. So you probably walk it, 20 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes. There we are, home to 11,000 animals, 400 different species, 125-acre site. There we are, very own monorail system. Ah, there we are. Animals include Chimpanzee Island, Penguin Pool, and Europe's largest tropical house. There we are, Blue Planet Aquarium. Dewar Roman Experience, well worth visiting there. There we are, that's a fascinating interactive reconstruction of the sights, sounds and smells of the life inside the 2,000-year-old Roman fortress buried beneath modern-day Chester. The Roman Garden, located close to the amphitheatre and easily accessible from the magnificent city walls. The Roman Garden should be on your list of places to visit. There we are. Established in 1949. St John's Church. Well worth. There we are, just round the corner from the amphitheatre. Down St John's Church, known known for the St John the Baptist Church part, so the attractive church, once the city's main cathedral, date from the late 19th century, along with a section comprising of an earlier 12th century Norman church. Grosvenor Museum, there we are. You might be interested in museums, and I would recommend visiting them if you want to know a bit about history. There we are. Boast a fine collection of Roman antiquities, along with special displays illustrating the life of the Roman legionary and the Roman fortification of Britain. Exhibits deal with matters of life and death during Roman times, including medicinal remedies and instruments, as well as impressive collections of modern artworks. Numerous paintings and sculptures dating back 5 centuries. Chester Military Museum, located in Chester Castle. There we are. Tells the story of 4 famous regiments connected with the area from 1685 to the present day. There we are. And also features Lord Baden-Powell. Well, he founded the Cub Scout movement to promote young people and practical skills in the community. Lord Baden-Powell, there we are. And also the Chester Yeomanry, the last horse regiment in action during World War II. There we are, so horse regiment, there we are. Various other information there. Cheshire workshops. There are the craftsmen and women of the Cheshire workshop not only demonstrate their hand-carved candle making skills, they encourage visitors to participate in the art too. So well worth if you want to have a go. And by the way, some National Trust places now do let you have a go as well. They have changed things over the years, and they do let people see some real life demonstration taking place. Beeston and Peckforton Castles. Well, there we are. History of Beeston Castle stretches back more than 4,000 years to its origins as a Bronze Age hill fort. Perched high atop a rocky crag, the castle ruins are fun to explore and offer incredible views over the surrounding countryside and all the way up to the Pennines and Wales. So there we are. Have a look at that. And like I say, if you want to find out anything else here, do have a look online, because you'll no doubt find further information you'd like to know, and have a look. So there's a number of places there you might want to know, and do give yourself enough time. Make sure you've got enough time to visit all these places. Stay the night if you need to. Also, check the weather forecast as well. Like I say, you've got the tourist bus as well. So you can imagine how long this would take. It's probably going to be, like I say, it's going to go for a long weekend, but I mean, you could probably make easily 3 days, 4 days out of all this. And as well worth having a good look. And also that open top bus tour there. Have a good look around the cathedral and the amphitheatre, museums and galleries there. And take some photographs as well. But having said that, talking of photographs, I know some people might want some photographs. Now, there are permissions and copyright problems with just finding photographs online. Now, I haven't exclusively taken any photographs in places to put online alongside my material. So in that respect, I will try and get some photographs that I've taken. So I'm not infringing any copyright or permissions, any infringement rules or anything else there. But you can look online to a few of these places if you want to. But I will try and get some photographs. But as you know, it's quite a long... We've been in the pandemic. Travelling around places hasn't been something we could do. But I will try and get some photographs, weather dependent. And I do hope you've enjoyed today's session. And I thank you for watching. God bless you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.